We all know the benefits of mulch in the garden, and today we are at Gathering Place over here in Tulsa, and joining me is Kellen Lee, who is tasked with the massive job of putting mulch all over this park. Tell me a little bit about how big of a job that is.
Yeah, so Gathering Place right now is 66 acres, and we have a lot of plant beds in that space. So it takes a lot of effort, and so we try to be very efficient and very safe in those practices.
Yeah, and the park is about 7 years old, so still fairly new landscape that we're dealing with, right? Which means more surface area exposed.
Correct. Whenever we first started the park, we started with putting around 9 semi-loads in the park, and each semi is around 115 cubic yards.
Wow.
So right now, with some of our growth, we're actually down to 6 last year, and we're hoping to get by with just 5 semis this year.
Okay, and we're not just talking about little tree wells on flat areas either. Let's talk a little bit about the topography and also the physical barriers you have to deal with.
Yeah, so here at the park, we have a lot of slopes here at the park, and it's one of the reasons kids love it.
Yeah.
But at the same time, we have railings in the park, and those railings we have to step over, and we have a few different ones of those. So to get mulch into plant beds over railings can be a lot of work.
So obviously with these barriers, you're not just rolling wheelbarrows up the hills, right?
No, we definitely can't do that. We rent a mulch machine that is like, if you can imagine a fire truck with water coming out the end, but with mulch coming out the end. So what it is we have a hopper. We take the mulch from the back of the truck, load it into the hopper, and the hopper shoots it out the fire hose at the end. Our crew to run the mulch blower takes around 5 to 6 people at the max. Even in some areas could take a little bit less. The amount of time that they can move through an area is a lot quicker. They can set up, they move through in about an hour in one area. They can reach up to 150 feet away from the actual hopper, which really helps us get into some of those tight spots that we couldn't bring mulch to before.
And do you try to focus it all on this time of season, late winter, early spring, or do you do this throughout the season?
Yeah, we actually do it just for about 4 weeks during the end of January, the beginning of February. We do it every year. We call it mulch season for us. The team loves the mulch blower, and they love it because of the efficiencies it saves, the back labor it saves, the just the amount of physical labor that it saves. They really like it. They get it done, and then we can actually spend our spring and our summer doing plant health care that we really want to be doing.
Well, and I know you guys, obviously a lot of this mulch is being brought in, but you take advantage of the mulch that nature provides you with all of these trees as well. Tell me a little bit about that.
Yeah, we bring in the hardwood pine mulch, and that's what we're putting out of the mulch blower. But at the same time, we have over 6,000 trees here that produce leaf litter for us. We take some of that leaf litter and we let some of it just lie where it is. Some of it we shred up and then leave where it lies to create a little bit more of a mulch matted area for us. Then we have pine needles that we always make sure to save and keep in place. And then we also have leaves that from pathways we've had to remove, and those leaves go into our compost pile that get brought back out for later use. Okay,
well, it sounds like you're being very efficient, and you appreciate the value of mulch as well here. Let's talk a little bit about, I mean, we mentioned this garden is growing, right? And so it sounds like the need for the mulch that you're buying has declined a little bit. You're also incorporating a living mulch. Tell us a little bit more of that.
Yes, so we don't want to have to put down the 9 truckloads like we said. So every year our goal is to reduce that number. With that, we plant a lot of what we call living mulch, so ground cover. It might be Vinca or Liriope. We have a lot of Ajuga in the park, but we're constantly looking for great ground covers that will take up the space of mulch that we don't have to then put that mulch down.
Okay, and as you go through the season, mulch doesn't always stay where it needs to stay. Can you tell me a little bit about some of your challenges with our topography here?
Yeah, so like we mentioned, the slopes are sometimes go up twice as they go out once. So we call it throwing mulch. So in the summertime, instead of mulching our beds, we throw our mulch from the bottom of the hills back up to the top. And that helps us keep it redistributed, but we're not having to add more. We're not adding extra compost to the bottom of the slopes. We're not changing the topography too much by making sure that we're throwing the mulch back up.
Right, and that just goes back into that further plant care of making sure you're not getting any of them buried down at the bottom, right?
Exactly. Even after mulch season, after we've gone through with the mulch machine, we still have plant health care practices that we have to go do, and we remove the mulch from around shrub bases and tree wells and other areas.
All right, well, thank you so much for sharing this with us today.
Thank you so much for having me.
We hope you enjoyed this video as part of our Oklahoma Gardening YouTube channel. You can also find even more videos on the OK Gardening Classics YouTube channel. And join us on social media for great gardening tips, photos, and discussion.